chart last time when you weren't here.
Yeah,
We had no idea.
yeah, it worked.
We're good? Okay. Welcome to the November 6th Master Plan Subcommittee meeting. And we are going to continue to review our questionnaire to be able to present that to the planning board once that's done. At our last meeting, we walked through the whole document, and the part of the document that we need to address this evening was housing and zoning, which is not a page number, but it's number 28, question 28, somewhere in there. And then the other part of, unless there's something else that came up since the last time we worked on this, is to work on the introduction to the document to give guidance to those who are filling out the questionnaire.
I printed, or I grabbed the older draft by mistake, and I don't have the most recent one. Do you happen to have one, a good copy?
Yes, I have the most recent one, except for the housing and zoning
Yeah.
is written all over.
If you don't mind.
I don't mind.
How many copies? Anybody else?
I have it.
Did you all get the question 28 I sent you on the 27th?
Yes. Oh, he's making a copy.
Yeah.
Did they, I don't know where, did they, does the committee have date expectations? Okay. So we're not running up against anything
No, we're not.
hyper-specific?
Nope.
Okay.
So I thought if we can get through question 28
Yep.
and nail that down tonight and do the review, the language from the previous plan's introduction,
Okay, yeah.
we can then conclude
Yeah.
our meeting tonight early, and then for our next meeting to have a final go at it.
Great, yeah,
And that way we
I'm game for that.
can then walk through it ourselves in preparation for that meeting. So, thank you.
Yeah, so do we want to start at that 28, the housing and
Yes.
zoning, and, I think
Yes.
oh, go
So
ahead.
because you were here, Salem, the question became, how does the strongly oppose, neutral, et cetera, fit into that? And so we were wondering if it was clear, or if it needed to change to be yes or no, or what have you. So now we have, if you have that email from Phil, we will, question 28. Through zoning or other regulation, the town aware should. And the questions that we're kind of filling in or expanding upon what was there. Make it easier to construct detached accessory units, or make it harder. Short-term rentals, affordable housing, commercial development, open space, and natural resources. And having those two alternatives, easier or harder. Encourage or discourage, allow or never allow, or increase or decrease.
Yeah, Phil, I did like these, point being, for Salem and everyone else's edification, kind of the sticking point was there was some potential hang up on the intent and receipt of a question being, for example, do I want more restrictive zoning for call it short-term rentals, and there was confusion around, well, if I want fewer short-term rentals, does that mean I'm for more
Sure.
restrictions, or does it mean, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's.
So that was
I
the
think
crux of that.
Improves these axes significantly.
Yeah, I agree. So that's just where that came from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, what it does lose, and I think it outweighs what it loses, but if we could slot in somehow, it's almost saying, I guess there's not a very clear option for like, I don't think the town should be involved in this.
Oh,
I don't think there should be any zoning, and, oops. Like, I know there are people that have that opinion, so I think we should be able to solicit that opinion and find out how much of a percentage of the town that is. I assume
So-
it's not significant, but,
Right.
So,
So the question, I think we kind of touched on that last week,
We did,
last time,
yeah.
because of the way this was phrased, is that by state regulation, we need zoning. There's an RSA pertaining to zoning
there are
that,
plenty of towns that don't.
that was opted, yeah, but we had opted in. So in order to opt out, if that's the desire to opt out, it becomes a major warrant article too,
Sure, but I guess
Identify
my
that.
point is,
so.
how would we even know that we should pursue that unless people say that's what, unless we give them the ability to say that's what they want? And again, it's my personal opinion, I don't think that's something the majority of people are interested in, but we don't know that for sure unless we ask the question, or allow them to provide that kind of answer.
So how do we add that?
Is that just adding the category of, do you oppose strongly, oppose or support zoning? And then let it go up and down? Or is that
I
too
mean,
broad?
it could-
Or is that
it-
too
It
broad?
could just be
No.
a separate question right after
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of what I'm getting at,
Yeah.
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 I don't want to mess with what Phil,
No, I
Did
think,
here.
yeah.
that's,
my only self-criticism is I don't like the redundancy of make it easier, make it harder, encourage, discourage, but I know we're trying not to lead here,
Yeah.
so that was my workaround
Well,
for
and
that.
it lines it up with.
I actually think it's good.
With like the land use and growth management.
Yeah.
Encourage.
So that-
Yeah, I actually think it's good, Phil, yeah.
Thank you. What I really wanted to have was sort of like a toggle where you could like take actually like in like let's say there was actually sort of a picture and a spectrum, like take, sort of click right to
Slide,
left. And I looked it up on SurveyMonkey, and that's a paid feature.
Okay.
So we're gonna stick to this.
Fair enough, no, that's okay, I mean,
All right, so if we're good with what that component 28 is, we'll add that in.
And maybe.
And
I
then,
had
then we're
just-
gonna add 29 to be that other question as to,
Yeah, and my only thought is, should that kind of question go before we ask? So what I'm trying to be in the mindset of somebody who wants to say no, and if they see question 28 first, then like, okay, like how am I supposed to answer this? And then they would answer it and get 29 and be like, oh, well, there's what I was looking for, versus putting them in reverse and say no, and then basically we know that they
yeah.
answered 28 more informed. Because
I'm,
of
I'm
that.
fine with that logic of the no option, which again, I think is a small percentage.
Yeah.
so how,
Preceding,
how are we stating that?
And is the no on zoning question for just abolishing all zoning?
If you can think of some gradients, that'd be, some demarcations maybe, that would be nice. No,
I think when you weren't here, we were just not eager to open that can of
Yeah.
worms.
yeah,
I suppose I had
So-
tried to achieve that with the old 1 through
Right.
5. I'm
Right.
just gonna skip
So-
them again.
So if you use that 1 through 5, the biggest question of clarification, are you against zoning or prefer permissive? That's a little too broad for this, or not narrow enough for strongly oppose.
is not narrow enough.
Yeah, in my mind, because you're saying, I'm against it, I strongly oppose, wait a minute, it also means I have a permissive approach.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It would lump them together.
So either change the whole phrasing, I mean, I can see using that breakdown for the overall question
Yeah,
in
yeah.
28,
But
which is what we, what's your general opinion on zoning? Is what we threw out there.
Yeah. And then but one just against having zoning, period.
Right.
And then,
Because that permissive approach or some restrictions is kind of picked up and opposed.
yeah, and then two would become open to some restrictions,
Right.
or,
Yes.
well, it makes it a little bit confusing with four, where we say some restrictions twice, so maybe the wording of two should be left.
If we're putting the gradient in terms of encouraging or discouraging on the individual elements, is it not appropriate to simply have a singular macro question being, are you for zoning
Okay.
or are you against?
So if they answer, yeah, so I'm trying to play it out, so if they pick number four, support zoning with some restrictions, and then they come down here,
You can I know it goes against what we talked about in terms of consistency and question format, but you could have on the front end, to your point, what is your opinion on zoning, against, with some, restrictions and permissive? So just have a one question, 3 answer option on the front end, and then you go into how Phil drew it out. Because that allows you to say, no, medium, yes. Which is kind of that captures the philosophy.
I'm gonna flip the second and third ones you said. So no zoning, and then yes zoning but relatively permissive,
Fine,
or yes zoning but restrictive.
fine. I'm okay with that, yeah. My point is, I don't wanna, we're trying to not expand
Sure.
on every gradient of each zoning, scenario. So have one question that captures the 3, we will get that, right? It's like,
And move
okay,
right along into the more
Yeah.
informed questions.
yes. I think that captures it.
You still have to add the don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, okay, yeah, I'm
I
okay
mean,
with it. Yeah,
how do these top 5 things not fit what you just described, other than you've got two thoughts below neutral and 2 thoughts above neutral? If you take support zone, say support, you're gonna take that sum out of there, because we don't wanna, you support zoning with restrictions, or support zoning, period.
so maybe it doesn't, maybe we do keep that, we could keep that, and then now it just changes. I think we could keep that, because that's what I'm.
Just for the one question.
Correct, yes, and then you call it 28
Yes.
into the different structure,
Right.
yeah,
No, yeah, it would be 28, be 29 then.
yeah, right, yes.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that cleans it up.
So strongly oppose is against having zoning. Oppose, open to some,
So I keep reading, I keep putting back the words against having zoning. So you're kind of like, I prefer not to, but I understand and I'm open to some restrictions, but
yeah, just say open to some restrictions. Oppose, open to some restrictions.
but when you just compare it to 4 though. So we've scratched the beginning of 2, but we haven't scratched the beginning of 4. And so then it's open to some, but then
Yeah.
later you see support zoning with some. Well, what's the difference between those two? So that's why I think just leaving the front of 2 allows you to understand the difference between 2 and 4.
Okay. So you got a note on that, so you can fill that in on your document on your PC?
Yep.
And for consistency's sake, do you think it's worth sticking to the opposed to support language 1 to 5, or just a multiple choice option 1 to 5?
That's,
These are my options for how I feel about zoning.
I think, if we stay with that, it's better. per our argument just moments ago, that
Yep.
Okay.
we want to have people to express that component of opposition as opposed to, well, what does a 3 mean? You're neutral, but what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
So if you're neutral, no strong opinion, or are you leaning towards don't know, or,
Did I capture correctly that we're taking Phil's 28 as written, no edits, and that's gonna be 29?
correct?
Right.
And then 30 and 31 are, I think we felt that we were fine.
Okay.
Because they're the same repetitive questions, but pertaining to housing and zoning.
Yeah.
Okay? We good with that?
Yes. Yep.
All right. So, as I spoke while you were out of the room, Salem, what I'd like for us to consider is the language for the introduction to or the cover sheet, if you will, the first blurb that people are gonna read to give them direction pertaining to what's coming before them. We know it's not gonna be, well, imagine at one point it's probably gonna have to be in paper too, but I think we're striving towards Survey Monkey type of expression, a digital footprint. And that way we can give them guidance in that respect. I don't know if you have the
I do, yeah.
way back, the way back when.
And you're just specifically referring to this paragraph?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one beginning, the town of Ware's beginning?
Yeah.
Town aware is beginning a planning process to guide the future growth.
So I think if we're going to consider this, we need to change, we're not beginning, we're in the process of updating our master plan, needs to be stated. And we need your assistance to guide us through this process for our future growth and development over the next decade. Decade is our goal, because it's every 10 years.
10 years.
You're supposed to, although we've gone 20 with a couple of attempts.
It's a suggestion, we're not like breaking the law or anything. I don't want people to get that impression.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, we're not not mandating, you're not gonna be fined or an easement on your taxes because of, you didn't fill out your survey.
Can I take a peek at this?
But I think we also need to be sure that, well, I guess it's stated there, we need your participation, your knowledge, experience, and visions for the town. I think that's important to be there. Because we need to really have whoever's taking this buy into the process.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see any major things that need to I mean, we would take out, right, the assistance of the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, we'd take that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that whole sentence, because what Pastor Bill had said a minute ago, moving, kind of leading with master plan update is the reason for this.
Right,
I don't remember your verbatim words, but,
right.
the town of Ware is in the process of updating the master plan, last updated in,
2004.
Yeah.
So to change that, the town of Ware is in the process of updating the master plan to guide, so taking a beginning a planning process to guide the future growth and development of Ware over the next decade. What should the town preserve? What should the town change? What do you want Ware to be like in the future? The plan, and then we're taking that first sentence, part of the sentence out to the comma, and capital T, the planning board will be developing a new master plan for Ware.
well, haven't you said that by that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. So we're gonna take that whole sentence out. We need your participation, knowledge, experience, visions for the town in this survey and in future public planning events. The master plan is about you and your family, your town, and your future. Please participate and complete the survey. We also talked about who. So I would probably add a sentence to the end to say, we encourage all
Okay,
adults over the age of 18, or all adults,
yeah.
or anyone over the age of 18 to participate.
Yeah, and that's by extension, we don't want someone who's 16 participating.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about going back and just double checking some of the intro questions to make sure that if like two adults in the same family answer them, we're not double counting stuff. For instance, how many children live in your household? If both parents answer, well now, if we start cross-tabulating that, we may count children twice. I don't think we should
Well,
necessarily
but even
tackle
if-
that right now, but.
Yeah, well, is that, not to open up that can of worms necessarily, but is that even really a problem if this isn't a census? You know what I mean?
I think it is if we try and, if we get a whole bunch of answers in and we say, this many people answered and they represent this many people in the town.
Okay,
Because of the kids, this is supposed to be 10 years, those kids 10 years from now are gonna be adults.
right, but we are not, but I guess if there is double counting, is that gonna change, that's not gonna change what like the instinct coming out of the master plan is gonna be, right? Like we're not making I don't think, maybe you can tell me I'm wrong, I don't think we would be making any like we're not using this as a demographic benchmark with which to make planning decisions.
Correct.
So therefore, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost, I don't, who cares is not the best way to phrase it, but
If
like,
we don't lose sight of that, sure, I'm with you.
yeah,
But
So-
I don't wanna be like, wow, clearly we need a sidewalk straight down the middle of town and down East Row and like, to support.
yeah. So, right, so I don't want to be naive, so maybe I'd be naive. Fair enough. I don't think again, the purpose of this is not a census.
No, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
But there is a component that I think there's some, we're walking a fine line, if you will. Because in the report or the appendix to the master plan, where it talks about the survey results, there's no guidance within the original document to say only one head of household should fill this out. So that issue, because like question 11, how many children or teenagers are in the household? What age groups are they? And then it gives the percentage of what's been reported. But then there's also a summary, and that's overall finding. The typical survey respondent is a resident of South Ware, is between 45 and 65, is part of a two-adult household, bachelor's degree, 2 children or fewer, children 13 or older. Questions 4, 5, 6, and 7, which relate to housing, are summarized in the front of Chapter 5, housing in this plan. So,
But does that come from the survey?
yeah,
It does. So the master plan's demographic,
no.
okay.
That's just, so the key then is to ask ourselves, we need to go back to the demographic, and that's that piece of paper
Right.
from New Hampshire, what
Yeah.
is it called?
Planning commission, so that's that one.
Employment Security.
So I guess the point being, yes, it is a problem to double count if we are representing to planning decisions a number. If we are not doing that, then it is not mission critical.
Well, the data's gonna help us. We have to put that data against the demographic data. The demographic data is gonna have the overwhelming
But the demographic data should,
foundation.
yeah, and to me, the demographic data, that should be driving our planning decisions. Because again, this is about vision and
Right.
like, you
But
know.
if we, even if that household is double reported, it's still gonna give us the same information.
That's kind of that's my point.
Do you remember I brought this up last meeting with regard to household income and the other household-oriented questions? And I thought about this a little bit, and I didn't really come up with a neater way to clean up that data and get a more accurate report and avoid the double counting issue. And I don't have a lot of experience in statistics, so I don't know, how off is the data going to be? How many of the households will be double reporting? And my instinct was to just let it go. It's not going to be the cleanest data ever, but I don't know that it is going to throw us off that wildly.
Well, yeah, and I guess my point is, if we're not being asked to perform data collection, outside of the fact that it can generally inform the instincts that we're trying to glean from this, yes, we should be cognizant of the fact that there is a potential double counting flaw, but but we're not harvesting data.
Right, but we could address that with one clarifying question, one clarifying statement to say couples may fill this out together as a single household.
Okay.
I was considering a question, how many adults are in your household, but even how many adults are you representing with this survey?
Okay.
But another thought is, if we are saying we are not going to weight this data, we're not gonna use it for, like, why are we even asking? Why ask
Yeah.
if we're not gonna use it for something?
Well, I think we would, right.
Well, yeah, it's gonna give us, it's not gonna affect our demographic information. It's gonna affect our discernment of what they're saying. So it's gonna give us a demographic that this age group seems to be overwhelmingly in favor of this.
Right.
And we need to know that, because so if it's the 75-plus-year-olds who are against zoning, okay, that's your opinion, but we don't want to overemphasize that now has to be put upon everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
So we have to weigh out those, what does that
I
flow look like?
I generally agree with that, and that's where my point is, we are interested enough in the truly macro data, meaning, like, we want to see where, we want to see, like, where families come in macro. So, like, do you have people in your house? We want to see where, multiple adult homes come in. But then saying, oh, we have 4 people per household rather than 3.75, like, I don't really care about that.
So if we
I just care about the
if we-
macro
yeah,
categories.
If we commit to that, I'm fine with it, and then we can better say, a survey respondent who has children made these decisions.
Yeah, that's
If
my
we're
point.
saying that, it's on the record, we're not gonna start counting.
Yes.
Like, okay.
That's my opinion. I mean, you all don't have to agree with that, but that's my opinion. That's how I see
Well,
it.
well, the other thing is, this is gonna become a public document, and we
Yep.
have no control over what people do with it. But
Totally
if we
fair.
if it starts to get out of control one day, people say, well, what about that survey? We can come back to this video and say, or hopefully the minutes, and say, no, like, that was not the intent of this data
Yeah.
specifically, we discussed it. like-
And
Yep.
and to be honest, I don't think we need to be overly concerned, because even the data that was presented in the last one hasn't been,
Yeah, I think,
Right, like
I have been burned so many times dealing with town problems I wish somebody had just written it down 20 years ago.
Yeah,
right,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
just want to say it.
yeah, yeah.
No, I get it. It's a good point. I know I just went against this, but I don't want us to, like, spin our wheels trying to come up with a solution, like, for double counting. That's my point. Like, I don't,
Could we put something prior to respondent profile to say, who is filling this out?
maybe in that.
Head of household?
Well, I think it's kind of relevant to this introduction, right, Bill? That's
Yeah.
sort of what we're talking about. Like, when and maybe it is, because you're right. Like, hey, we again, encourage is tough, maybe we don't wanna use the word encourage, but like, this is designed to be representative of a household, I guess, I don't know if you wanna call it that.
Well, is it though? I may argue
Maybe
it's-
not,
it's
that wording might
representative.
not be right, but,
It is, I think design's a good phrase. This is designed to be answered by individual adults in town.
Correct.
okay, fair, sure.
And if it's doubled up, it gets doubled up.
Right,
But we'll
this
be
is-
able to discern it
Yep. Yep.
based upon the bigger
And
demographic.
I think that's better placed in an intro than like trying to specifically phrase a question.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
No.
Sorry, go ahead, Phil, sorry.
I'm also good with that, a potential solution though, and, haven't fully worked out how it would go in my head though. In the respondent profile, are other members of your household also participating in the survey? If that was filled out yes, then you could say, oh, the X amounts of surveys are doubles,
Yeah, you can cut it
And
in.
that, yeah,
but that
that's
doesn't tell you which ones,
that's why I want
so that's
how
not helpful, is it?
I've thrown out how many adults are you representing with this survey. But I think it kind of overcomplicates it.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
it overcomplicates our analysis.
That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Right, because if you, say we're a family, we're all living in the same house, we all have 18 and older, we can all fill out the survey. And whoever's paying the bills is head of the household. But we all can fill out the survey, and we're all gonna represent what we think to be the case. We may not ask whoever's
Yeah.
the breadwinner to say, what's our financial status?
Right.
You know, is it cumulative or is it just me?
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I mean, and I don't wanna fall down the like,
Yeah. I
oh
think- I
no,
think
we
the
have to
most-
wait, you know?
Most important data is outside of the respondent profile.
Yes.
Correct. So that's where I think, again, so it's best leveraged in the intro, again, just to keep it on
Right.
topic.
So we're gonna add the, please participate and complete the surveys. We encourage all age 18 and older to participate.
And I was actually going to, it's gonna segue, I think. I was gonna recommend an edit. Please participate, complete, and share the survey.
Yeah, sure, right.
It throws in share, and then it segues into your sentence of.
Yep.
And I do like Dan's wording of this is designed,
Yeah.
like, there was an intent here. But if you choose to do it otherwise, like, it may throw things off, but our design
Yes.
with intent was, individual adults.
Right.
whatever.
Okay.
The other thing, just to get everybody's opinion, we talk about doing this, plan for the next decade, last done in this year, but is it worth maybe a second paragraph? So like, hit him with that one, that's the good one, and then a second, a little more, hopefully not dry, but, explain, like, name the RSA.
Yes.
The master plan
Oh,
is defined by RSA, et cetera.
This is what this is?
Right.
Perhaps borrow this statement here.
It says, under state law, RSA 6084, planning boards must adopt and amend master plans to guide the development of the municipality by having a set of statements and land use principles. Master plans are also required for municipality to enact zoning regulations.
Right.
The current master plan is available on the town website.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's great.
Did you just write that just now?
It's right here. I can copy it.
I thought you were rattling that off your head.
No, that's Hampton.
Yeah, I think that would be perfect. Because then it becomes that education piece that we've been talking about, or had talked about, spoken about. Okay,
People are getting excited. Oh, I was about to say we have 2 concurrent viewers, but now it's 1.
It's probably as easy as seeing if I'm on my way home.
all right, so based upon our last meeting, we've gone through this whole thing from beginning to end.
Yes.
And we checked off everything except for that page on housing and zoning, which we just fixed. We've updated the introduction, and I think at this point, we should, if we could have a clean copy, clean draft, for our next meeting, and come prepared to chew on it, to say, okay, we like everything but, or we need to readdress this, or that type of thing.
Yeah, seek to finalize.
Right.
So I can commit to taking the draft I have on my computer from October 12th and editing the one page,
Yep.
housing and zoning.
Yep.
And then I think you had a better copy of the paragraph, the intro paragraph.
Yeah, well, tell me what that other thing was. Hampstead,
Head piece.
Oh,
Oh, just add that, right?
Oh, maybe you got it. The updated paragraph?
the updated intro.
understate.
Yeah, the whole.
Oh, I mean, I did my best. I mean, to capture what we got. We're pretty much keeping this paragraph with a couple changes. I'll send it out.
Okay,
Let me know what I missed.
yep, and you're gonna add this Hampstead thing,
Yes.
okay. We don't need their webpage, though.
No, that would be not useful.
It'd be our webpage.
And this
And-
is easy enough, like, I can just go home and do it, and then know it's done, and everybody can
Right.
think about it for,
Yep.
until the next meeting.
Right, which is the 20th. So an 11:20 final discussion. Okay, anything else on the questionnaire?
I can turn out really well.
Definitely, yes.
All right,
Yeah, I
so,
agree.
we do not have minutes from the 16th, but we do have from the 2nd. Do you have those?
What? Oh,
I
okay,
didn't see anything that
yeah.
left off the page to be incorrect or,
Yeah, that's okay.
okay, do we have a motion to accept the minutes from October 2nd?
Yeah, motion to accept.
I second that motion.
Okay. Discussion? Good?
That's good.
All in favor?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of that. There was a request from the town administrator to ask whether we needed to meet on December 18th, as the finance committee was looking for another meeting date. And I felt that we didn't need it because the way we were progressing, because we would still have, our next meeting's the 20th, and we'd still have one meeting in December if we had to. If we don't have to, then we don't have to meet that first, the 4th. So are we in favor of not meeting on the 18th so the finance committee can meet?
I'm in favor of that.
Okay. Do we need to have a motion and, or just,
No,
I
you
don't think
just won't
so.
call
I
me.
think-
I won't
As
call a
chair,
meeting.
you won't
Right,
call me.
okay. So we will not meet on the 18th. Any other business?
The 18th of
December,
December.
Great.
correct. And we'll have the meeting, we'll have minutes from this meeting and from the 10/16 meeting at our next meeting.
Yeah, correct. I missed Naomi's Monday email to resend the minutes, so we'll get them next
Okay.
round.
Cool. And just to recap, Salem's gonna make the corrections on the overall survey, and Phil's gonna send us the introduction.
Correct.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Yep.
So Dan moved,
Yep.
Salem seconded.
Oh, I thought, yeah.
I can't make a motion.
When you ask the
Chair
question,
can't?
it
Why
seems
can't the
like.
chair make a motion to adjourn?
That's my protocol. Chair asks for a motion to reserve.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.